So we welcome you in here on a Tuesday morning. I'm pleased to be joined by United States Senator Bill Haggerty of the volunteer state of Tennessee. Senator, good morning.
Good morning, Steve. Good to be with you this morning.
Well, so glad to have you on this morning. And Senator, I just want to, I know, so busy there in Washington, but I want to launch right in here. And just the very latest on the situation with the United States and Iran. I know you're on the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations. So if you will, bring us up to date because, and especially about the ceasefire, because we know that the president announced a ceasefire between Israel and Iran at about 6 o'clock Eastern time last night. But now we're getting reports maybe that was violated early this morning. Is that right?
Yes, I've gotten the same reports that there has been a violation. President Trump has been extraordinarily stern in terms of his response to that. He said these guys have been fighting so long they don't know what they're doing. I think what probably happened is that Israel already had, you think about missions already underway. They may have taken, and I hope this is it, their last shot to unload the last bit of ordnance that they had to inflict maximum damage before the ceasefire started to improve the negotiation posture. But I think President Trump has been very clear. He expects this ceasefire to hold, and these have been embittered enemies here. But this is now the time to stop and get to the table.
We're joined by United States Senator Bill Haggerty. Let's talk about the operation on Saturday night. Obviously, it's been well chronicled the last few days. But you are, sir, you are on the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations. You have information that I'm sure much of which you can't share publicly. But what can you tell us about the operation and how it went down?
Yeah, as you say, Steve, rather than specifics, what I can share is perspective, okay? And my perspective is very simply this. President Trump issued a timeline to Iran. They violated it. He's issued a red line. They violated it as well in terms of their preparedness for a nuclear weapon. When those red lines, timelines are violated, he's demonstrated that the United States will not tolerate that. He dealt with resolve. He demonstrated not only to Iran that he means business, but he also demonstrated to the rest of the world, and importantly, I'm talking there about Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un, that American resolve is back. That if he draws a red line, if he delivers a deadline, he expects it to be met. And as a result of that, every American diplomat in the world is now standing taller today because they know they have a commander-in-chief that's standing behind them, and that when America speaks, they mean it.
Senator, going back to the bombing, the United States bombing of the nuclear sites in Iran, how effective and what have we learned about how effective that the bombings were, and especially, as has been reported, the question is the location of the uranium. What do you have any updates on that?
So with respect to the three sites that were bombed, all of them incredibly fortified. This is why Israel could not do more. This is why the United States was frankly the only entity in the world that could have done something about these sites that Iran had buried deep underground, within mountains, etc. And I think what President Trump did was the part of the operation that the United States actually were the only ones that could complete. But the mission, and we've been aligned with Israel on this, and I hope our allies around the world, no one wants to see Iran with a nuclear weapon. And this was a devastating blow to Iran. Is it terminal? I don't think so. What it's done is severely damaged the facilities, though, regardless of whether there is any or if there is some enriched nuclear capacity that still resides there. They have definitely damaged the ability for Iran to do anything with whatever amount of enriched uranium they may have, because those sites not only housed enriched uranium, but that's also where they were developing the capacity to deliver that uranium in bomb form. And by destroying that, the Iranians, at a minimum, are set back significantly.
We're joined by United States Senator Bill Haggerty of Tennessee. We certainly appreciate the senator's time on an extremely busy time in the nation's capital. Let me go back to yesterday. Word came out that Iran did, in fact, do a retaliatory strike. However, it's being called by United States defense analysts, people up and down the line, It was about a best case scenario. Apparently, they alerted intermediaries that they were going to do it. They did it. And the president is saying to many, even some reporters this morning, that this is the end of the line as far as the conflict with the United States and Iran at this point. What do you make of Iran's response yesterday?
I think Iran has been very careful not to inflame issues with the United States, while at the same time maintaining their own propaganda within their country. If you think about this, Steve, they wanted to demonstrate to the Iranian citizenry that they were still fighting back, but they let everybody in the chain know that this ordinance was coming. It was taken out quickly and effectively. What this was simply, I think, a demonstration without intent. And what you've also seen is very careful wording coming from the Iranian regime, not mentioning the United States, focusing their wrath on Israel. I think that they very much do not want to see conflict with our nation and with our president. At the same time, they're trying to manage a situation inside of Iran, which I think is quite challenging for the theocratic regime that runs Iran. They've I think, proven to the world that they don't have the level of control and capability that many had been bluffed into believing. And I'll go back even further on this. If you think about how effective Israel has been in terms of going into Iran and executing operations, military operations inside of Iran's borders, taking out Iran's proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and the collapse of Syria, which has literally cut off Iran's supply lines with Lebanon. All of this has dramatically weakened Iran, and then Israel took out their air capabilities. And now Iran is launching missiles. Every missile that they launch is one that they can't replace, so their missile capacity is being depleted, and every time they launch, the missile launchers are being identified and taken out by the Israelis. So they're on a war of attrition that they are not winning. I think what you see here is a desperate last-ditch attempt for the Iranian regime to position itself. They certainly will benefit more from a ceasefire than Israel at this point because they're losing. But at the same time, President Trump wants to see the carnage end. He doesn't want to see any more Israelis. He doesn't want to see any more Iranian people suffer and die. He wants this to come to an end. I think the conditions are right for that. And the Iranians and the Israelis need to get their heads around that. President Trump means this.
Senator Bill Hagerty, I do want to get your reaction to a report that came out last night. The FBI warning that Iran could do some retaliatory strikes on United States soil, and Homeland Security is warning against any type of retaliation against American officials. You are, sir, of course, United States Senator. What can you tell us about any contact you've had with federal authorities about even your own safety being an American official?
I think that that concern is due. I'll tell you why, Steve, and this is publicly reported. Under the Biden administration, when the borders of the United States were collapsed and our sovereignty was destroyed, they arrested over 1,500 people from Iran coming into the United States illegally. They released into the United States these people that entered illegally, released over 700 of these people into the United States. So we have no idea what kind of Iranian assets are on the ground here. We need to be extraordinarily careful. What I've been watching is the messaging coming out of the theocracy in Tehran. And we have not heard any sort of order, any sort of religious clerics saying that action should be taken against America. It needs to stay that way. But I don't take any comfort in that, knowing that the Biden administration has exposed us to massive danger. With again, people from Iran, we have no idea what their background is, what their intent is, but the Americans are legal. And as I said, the Biden administration is not it. And this is public figures. Over 700 of these people were released by the Biden administration in the United States. We do not aware.
Senator Bill Haggerty, and in the final just few minutes that we have, and again, I appreciate your time this morning. There is so much happening in this country. But the other major story that very much concerns you and what you do, of course, representing our state, is the federal budget and the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. Reports this morning, Senate Majority Leader Thune is wanting a vote by the end of this week. He has said that He will not release the Senate for the July 4th holiday until a vote is taken. What's the latest on this, Senator Haggerty?
Actually, that's a very good read of it, Steve. We met again last night, and that's precisely. I was with Senator Thune last night up until about 9 o'clock, and that is definitely where he is. He's going to keep us here till this gets done. If we postpone it, if we just tap it down the lane, a number of things happen. One, less and less certainty, and we need businesses in America to have certainty in terms of what the tax environment will be, so they can make their plans to invest capital in 2026. We need that capital investment to stimulate growth, the kind of growth that we saw after the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was put in place. And you'll remember this, Steve, after that act was put in place, we saw capital investment take off in America. We saw our economy growing at twice the rate of any other major economy in the world. So I think people know that if we can get this certainty, and again, much of it permanent now, we'll see a tremendous amount of capital investment unleashed here in America. More capital investment means more jobs means more economic activity. All of that is going to drive increased benefits for Americans at every strata. And the thing that was missed significantly last time after the 2017 Jobs Act was imposed is the mathematical calculations by the Congressional Budget Office. They missed the tax revenue that came in as a result of that additional economic growth by over $1 trillion, meaning the Congressional Budget Office is, in my view, somewhere on the spectrum between voodoo and malpractice, Steve. They don't account for the growth that's going to come from this investment, and this tax package is aimed at increasing investment in America. So my goal, I agree with Senator Thune, we need to get this done. Our teams are working around the clock right now. There's definitely fine-tuning that's going on this week, and it's warranted. The product that we got from the House is being adjusted right now. We're trying to make it more conservative as we move through it, but at the same time, the President and his staff are reminding us that it has to pass the House of Representatives. So there's a tightrope that's being walked. Senator Thune's talking with Speaker Johnson every day to make sure that we're putting together a product that is more conservative here at the same time, something that Leader Johnson can pass. So it's a very interesting time, as you say, both internationally and then here at home.
Final question, and obviously a lot's been made about cuts to Medicaid. What can you say about that? And also there are, of course, questions about the House and the passage there, as obviously there are some holdouts in the House of Representatives.
Well, the cuts to Medicaid, that's the top line that the Democrats have put out no matter what. What we're trying to do is actually preserve Medicaid for the people that deserve to be on it. So somehow in the Democrats' mind, if you impose work requirements on able-bodied people, and they shouldn't be getting government benefits if they could be working, that's somehow a cut to Medicaid. I think what we're doing is actually strengthening Medicaid, putting our house in better financial order so that we can actually deliver it for those who actually deserve it. So that's the high-level issue here. It's a matter of again, Democrat messaging something very different than the reality, and we're working on making that reality as efficient and effective as we possibly can, and frankly, from my perspective, to serve as many Tennesseans and keep as many rural hospitals open as we possibly can.
Senator, I can't thank enough for your time on an incredibly busy morning. I appreciate you speaking to the people of Southeast Tennessee this morning, and thanks again. I'll let you get back to business here.
Thank you, Steve. Great to be with you.
Thank you, sir. Senator Bill Haggerty and Bridget, just a long interview, taking time for this area, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, that's right. Very important information there. We do appreciate him.
Yeah. All right, so tell you what, we're going to take a break here, check traffic here in about 10 seconds. Mark Shepard, Shelter Insurance, 2334 Key Street, Cleveland.